Well, again, everyone, welcome. My name is Richard Taylor with Ideate Software, and thanks for joining me today for this short half-hour webinar on uncovering additional workflows of Ideate BIMLink. Ideate Software is all about simplifying your Revit data challenges. Ideate Software creates 5 add-on solutions to Revit that you see there on the screen: Ideate BIMLink, Ideate Explorer, Ideate Sticky, Ideate Apps, and Ideate Style Manager. Today we're going to be focusing on some new features of Ideate BIMLink. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you could go to our website and you can find lots of information about the other 4 solutions, videos, help files, and at the end I'll talk a little bit more about those as well. So just quickly, you might have seen this when you first logged in. About me, again, my name is Richard Taylor. And my background is architecture. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you may have on Ideate Software at richard.taylor@ideatesoftware.com. You can follow me on Twitter, and I'd be more than happy to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. And the key there with LinkedIn is just to use my middle initial W, and you should be able to find me pretty easily. So we're here to talk about Ideate BIMLink. And Ideate BIMLink is all about precise Revit data control. It's our premier solution that allows you to extract data from the Revit model and send that to Excel, be able to review the information in Excel or make modifications, and then import that data back into the Revit model for update, for speed, ease, and accuracy of updating the Revit model. So you may not be familiar with the latest update to Ideate BIMLink, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this presentation today, to kind of talk about some new workflows that we've enhanced when it comes to Ideate BIMLink and creation of specific elements. So I wanted to mention that we have our latest release that was in November 2019, so just not too long ago. You'll see that on our website. The latest release is November 27th. So we have updated versions for Revit 2017 through Revit 2020. So if you go to our ideatesoftware.com page and go to download a free trial, that the download a trial is the same as if you're an existing customer and you want to install the application or download a new version. It's the same software. It's really the license that makes it a trial or a full function. Also, I want to talk about that there is our video library, and so we just released a new video talking about what's new in this November 2019 update for Ideate BIMLink. So I'm going to talk about a few things. We're going to concentrate really on the creation process today and sort of project setup, but there's some other features and updates, and so I would encourage everyone to go to our Ideate Software webpage, and I'll just switch over here real quickly to the website. So this is our Ideate Software. You can go to our support under BIMLink. You can select videos. And if you select under videos under Ideate BIMLink, you'll see that there are, you've got a number of different playlists here. And there's a, what's new in Ideate Software playlist. And you'll see that that will come up right away. What's new in Ideate BIMLink, and that's the November 2019 release. Okay, so let's switch back over here. And I think that, good, thank you, Glennis, for answering. I'll talk about those. There's been a few questions, so please keep those questions coming in. And again, my colleague, Glennis Patterson, who is our Director of Ideate Software Development, is going to be answering those, and then I'll have some time here at the end to kind of highlight some of the questions. So one of our main updates to Ideate BIMLink was the user interface. For those of you that have been around for quite a long time, Ideate BIMLink is about 10 years old, and so every single year we've updated and enhanced the functionality. So it just celebrated its 10-year birthday not too long ago. And so what we've really tried to do is streamline the interface, make it a lot simpler and easier to use and easier to discover specific functions. So what we've done is we've kind of removed a lot of the pull-down menus, and what we've done is really only have now from the main dialog 4 options to create new link definitions, that's the information you're going to extract to Excel, to actually look at the properties of that link definition, and to import and export. And then the right-click, if I right-click a menu on any of the links, that's where I can rename and duplicate and convert and save link definitions. Those used to be sort of pull-down menus, and so we've tried to make that a little bit easier on the right-click menu there. And so when you select New, basically then you have the option to go browse about 350 link definition libraries that we have installed. Now, not only can you peruse those library links, but you can also, let's say, create new link definitions by a category or by a schedule. But today we're going to be talking about these link definitions that are in our library and specifically concentrate on the creation aspect. So we've included a folder for create elements. So in previous versions of Ideate BIMLink, we've been able to create unplaced sheets, rooms, spaces, and areas. So you think about, like, as an example for sheets, we were able to do the placeholder sheet, but not the actual sheet with the title block. We've been able to create placeholder rooms and areas and so forth. We've been able to create key schedules and new revision sequences. And then as far as elements or geometry based on their X and Y coordinates, we've been able to place masses and generic models. Well, we've greatly enhanced the creation processes here for this release of Ideate BIMLink, and that's what we're going to be concentrating on today, is talking about these newly supported creation sort of workflows, where we can now create new types per the existing family within our project. So it's very similar to a type catalog. We can create new views, plans, structural plans, ceiling plans, area plans, 3D views, and drafting views. New levels. Not only can we place the placeholder sheets as we could before, but we can now actually place sheets with the title blocks. We can place viewports on those sheets based on their X and Y location in relation to the title block. And then we can place new elements, furniture systems, plantings, site, and specialty equipment. So I'm going to show some examples of that as well. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is our library definitions. As I said, we have over 350 library link definitions that we include when you install Ideate BIMLink. So for the US samples, you can go to Program Files, Ideate Software, your version number. In my case, it's 2020. And then I went to the English samples. There is a folder called Create Elements. Under that folder, we are now delivering something called the Ideate Software Project Setup. And we've called it mechanical because we're just using mechanical as an example. And so that's what I'm going to go through, or part of it is going to go through today to show you that particular worksheet. And then I'm also going to reference back to our help file. So again, it's called Ideate Software Project Setup Mechanical, and it's an Excel file that already has some information populated. All right, so the easiest thing, let's just take a look. So I'm going to switch over here to Revit. And today, as I mentioned, I'm using Revit 2020, but we have versions available for 2017 through 2020. So in order to make this sort of really easy and sort of quote unquote somewhat idiot proof, we're not even including a sample file, right? All we're saying is, you know what, you just come over here and say new, and what we're going to do is use the default mechanical template. So I'm going to select on with Revit that gives me this mechanical template. I'm just going to say, okay, we're going to create a project, right? And it creates that project, and my lovely project browser is resized. But now I'm in this project, right? And so if I go to, let's say, a north elevation view, I'm going to double click there, you'll see that there's already in this project, that in this template that was delivered by Autodesk, there are 2 levels, level 1 and level 2, right? Okay, let's go ahead and look at that spreadsheet that I talked about. So I'm going to switch over here to my directory that I've called Uncover Additional Workflows. And I'm going to say, here's project setup. I'm going to use, I've got a couple of these, as you see, I keep kind of modifying it. I've The mechanical one, I've just changed a few things, so I've called it rich, but otherwise it's basically the same as the mechanical. I'll point out the areas where it's a little bit different. So this has already been exported with this template, and you'll see that there's already level 1 and level 2 in the Excel file because I already exported that. But then the way that BIMLink works is you can now create level 3, 4, 5, and 6. There is no Revit element ID, so you're going to then at this point type in the word new, and that will create that new level at the appropriate elevation. So okay, back over here in BIMLink, what we need to do is we need to come over here to Revit and BIMLink. And notice that I like to start here because we don't have any link definitions, right? So I can't look at properties, I can't export, I can't import. All I can do really is create new. So there's not a lot of options here, which is again, it's simplified. It's like, okay, well, this is what I need to do. I'm going to select new, and here is where I can browse libraries. And so I'm going to look at this create elements, and you can see now all of the link definitions that we've already created. And what we've done with this project setup is we've tried to number this as like kind of in the sequence that you would be creating, like levels first, then maybe area plans, sheets, viewports, and so forth. So we've kind of put it in sequence for you. So as I said, the first one we're going to do is this levels create new. And I'm going to say next. So what this does is it creates the properties of level name and level elevation. It's pretty simple, right? And in this project, it's showing me if I were to export this, I would have level 1 and level 2, and these are the two elevations, right? So I'm going to say done. I don't need to export that because I already did. I'm going to import now my sheet, and I'm going to use rich, the setup, the project setup rich mechanical. I'm going to open that, and there it is, levels new, create new. And so right away you see that what it did is it looked at the spreadsheet and it said, oh, well, there was no level 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to create those at the appropriate elevations. And you see everything in yellowish kind of orange is something that's going to be changed. And then down below it's showing me any kind of more detailed information. So I'm going to import that. And now I can, those levels are now created. And let's go and drag that over. So I want to maybe align that. So now I have my elevations for this particular project. Okay, so next in the sequence, let's come back over here to BIMLink. And I could go through this sort of one by one, but to save a little bit of time, what I'm going to do is come over here again and select new. I'm going to go to my create new links, right? Create elements. And I can select on multiple ones by using the control or the shift. So if I say, oh, well, I want to do views, right? And then I'm going to do a control sheets, and then I'm also going to do viewports. So I'm going to select 1, 2, and 3, and you see they're highlighted in blue. And so when I say next, it actually creates all 3 of them, which is great. So you can actually highlight and do a multi-select. So now under the views, create plans, I'm going to go to the properties of that. Because this one I intentionally kind of not hid, but I didn't include a property because I want to go and select that. So not only do I want to create these new views that you see here, right, but I actually want to create and organize them based on a sub-discipline. So what I'm going to do in BIMLink to show you that feature is I can just type in the word sub, hit the return, and there's sub-discipline. And I'm going to add that, and there it is at the very end. Now, if you look over here under my spreadsheet, you'll notice that under Views, Create New Plans, we have the Revit Element ID in column A, the associated level in B, and so forth. It moves basically left to right, B, C, subdiscipline, family name. But the subdiscipline is actually after the associated level and family. So the way that I have it set up right now is I put it after actually the view template. So if I were to import at this particular time, I would actually get an error because the sequence isn't the same. So what I want to do is take that subdiscipline and I want to move it up so it's now associated level, family type, subdiscipline, and then so forth. Now, not only do I want to do that, I want to come back to the Excel file here and I want to show you some really cool things that we're doing. So under the levels create new, notice that there was the level name. And so what we've done is we've tied this. If I say level 6 as an example, if I come over here and say level, I'm going to type in the word 6 instead, right? And so that's the worksheet called Levels Create New, level 6. Over here under the views, it's automatically tied in. So what we're doing is in this cell, we're actually saying reference the cell called B7 over on the tab Levels Create New. So then level 6, then what it does is it ends up creating a new view name based on that. So here it's saying, we'll take the view, or the level, and also append it to the subdiscipline, in this case HVAC, and put the two together to create a name. So not only is this worksheet kind of giving you some information about how you might create new views, it's giving you some nice ideas about how you could use formulas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch that back to level 6 because we've already created the levels. So I'm not going to change that, right? But under the View Create Plan, I have this title on sheet, and this title on sheet is blank right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do equals. That means I'm going to start a formula, and I'm just going to append a prefix to it. So I'm going to say RT, which are my initials, and then say ampersand, and it's going to be the view name, which is, in this case, E2. So you'll notice that what it did there is it created the title on sheet, which is RT Level 1 HVAC. And so as I take that now and drag it all the way down, it's going to update all that information. So because, in Revit, you can have the title on sheet be different than the actual view name. So in this case, just to signify that I can kind of create a little formula and that I might want to designate it as something that I created, I'm going to have the title on sheet be the RT Level 1 HVAC. And this is where, now, I haven't saved yet. So that's why you'll notice that there were different numbers here. So what I'm going to do is I'll call this one 4 in my sequence. So now I've saved that. So now coming back over here to Ideate BIMLink, what I want to do is say, okay, well, you know what? We've got that views create. I want to import. And now I'm going to pick Rich 4 because that has the ones where I did that little formula and I have the title on sheet. So I'm going to open that up, and there it is, Views Create New Plans. I'm going to say OK, and it goes ahead and it creates all those new elements. So you actually see there was the subdiscipline, there was the title on sheet, there was the view template. And so at this point, it actually hasn't done, it's giving me information about what it's going to do, but it actually hasn't done it yet. So I can always cancel the import, or I can decide to change something. But right now, when I go ahead and select import, you'll notice over here on the project browser, it immediately updated. And so now I have all these different views, right? So what I want to do is now create sheets that have that are in reference to that. So like in this case, if I come over here to the tab, which is Sheets Create New, I have a whole list of sheets that I'm going to use a title block and a sheet number and a sheet name. Now, if I don't include the title block, that's where we create a placeholder sheet. That's the way we've kind of previously done it in previous versions of Ideate BIMLink. But now we can, if the title block is there, it's going to then create the sheet number and the title block, right? And then I've also got that it appears in the sheet list. So let's come back over here, and we're going to import our sheets. And I'm going to now pick Rich 4 again, and we'll do the Sheets Create New. And so now it's going to list and create all those sheets with a title block. I'm going to import, and I'm going to close this. So now if I go down to my project browser, look at all the sheets now. I've got E201, the level 1 power plan, all the way through to P206, the plumbing plan. Now, so what we've done there, just to kind of recap, is we created new levels. We then created the views, right? All the different floor plans and ceiling plans for HVAC, for plumbing, and for electrical. Then we created the sheets. Now we'd like to create the viewports on those sheets. But a little bit of a tidbit here is that Revit has to have, when we place a viewport on a sheet, there has to be either some type of annotation or an elevation tag or geometry. So what I'm going to do here is just come over and place a wall. And we're going to say this might be my building, and I'm going to have it go up to level 6. right? And so then after I select that, let's just say this is the base area of my building. And maybe if I know the building, I could go ahead and draw kind of a rough outline. But for right now, I'm just saying it's within this boundary, basically, right? So now that I've selected that on level 1 HVAC, if I go over to level 5 HVAC, because I had to go all the way up, you're going to see the boundary. Of course, if I go to any one of the others, level 4 plumbing, it's also going to be there as well. So all I did was just kind of create a real simple piece of geometry for 4 walls that go up the number of floors that I've specified. And that's going to help me because then when I place those viewports on the sheet, then I'll have some sort of geometric representations. Okay, so now you'll have there's the viewports. And so here are all the different viewports and the sheets. So we're going to say here's you can specify what family and type, whether it's a floor plan or whether it's a ceiling plan. You can specify the view name and the sheet number, okay? So what I'm going to do now is come over here back over here to Ideate BIMLink again. So the last step, if you want to think of it that way, is to create the viewports on the sheet. So let's go to just the properties here, and you can see what I've got here right now, that there are no viewports on the sheet. So I'm going to import, and we'll do Rich 4 again, and so go ahead and create new. And so you'll see that it's actually processing all of those and selecting them, and I'm going to show you how we can modify that in a moment. But you'll notice that it actually has all the family and type, the sheet numbers, and the coordinate points that I've specified. So let's import that and say OK. And let's go down to a sheet. So now we have, let's just look at level 3 HVAC. So I'm going to open up that sheet, and there you see the viewport has been placed on the sheet. And if I zoom in, there's my name. Remember, I called it, the actual title on sheet was a little bit different. I called it RT as the prefix. So there's my nice prefix that tells me that Richard Taylor created that. And so you might say, well, how did you know where to place this? Well, the sheet, or the viewport, there's a centroid to the viewport, right? So when we kind of make an X on the crop region, there is the centroid of the viewport. That centroid has an X and Y coordinate. So if I select 0, 0, most of the time with the sheet, the 0, 0 point would be right here to the lower left-hand corner. So a 0, 0 would place the viewport down at this corner. Another nice thing I can do about this is let's come over here to level 3 HVAC under viewports. Let's go to properties. And let's go down to let's see, level 3 HVAC, right? That's what I'm looking at right now. There's the view name. And you can see that I've put all these at 1.5 and 1.2. Let's just make a change to this. And by the way, you may not know, this was an earlier feature that we did where you can do live editing. So I can change any of this right within the dialog. So if I change this to 1 and then come down here to HVAC 3 again, let's see, oops, I lost that position. Let's go look at the preview. And let's do, here's E. Let me see, where is am I missing something here? Show full preview. Where are we at here? Oh, sheet number, that's why. And let's see, the view name. Let's go ahead and just say OK. And if I think I did that right, I can move that view position basically on level 3 HVAC to a new position within it. So it's not, let's say, at 1.1 or 0.8. I can choose what that is. So if we go over here and take a look at that, as I said, the X and Y is based on the Revit coordinates of the sheet. So, if I put in 1.5, it's feet, but if I put in 18, it means, or 18 and the inches symbol, it actually means 18 inches. So as I mentioned, the centroid at 0, 0 basically would be placed right here on the lower left of the sheet. So if I wanted it to be, at 1-1, 1 feet basically over, that is the X and Y coordinate. All right, let's also place some site components here. So not only is this great for this, sort of this project setup and view creation, but I wanted to show you that we've got some create new elements here that work with lots of other sort of workflows. So if I come over here and I say open, and I'm going to do my advanced sample project. Let's just say as an example, I've got the site plan, and I've been given from a site survey a data collector that has all of my plantings at a specific X and Y coordinate. So the site people have gone out and basically given me that as a data collector. Now I want to be able to quickly place those plantings. So we can easily do that now. If I come over here to Ideate BIMLink, I'm going to say I've already got this plantings create new, so I just want to show you the properties here, is that it's giving me the level name, the family and type, the coordinate X, Y, and whether it's an in-place family. So in this case, I can just say import, and I can select on plantings, say OK. And now I see those new elements, and you'll notice that if I come over here, let's see if I can get this import and close. You'll notice that now all those trees are created, the specific family and type, and the location based on the X and Y coordinates. So that's a great, easy way to be able to create that information. So I know I'm about the top of the hour. I just wanted to mention a couple other additional new features with Ideate BIMLink, and that's being able to standardize your content. Remember when I talked about that Ideate BIMLink was so easy and streamlined? So that when you first bring up Ideate BIMLink, there's a sort of a help section over here to the left where it says learn more, and you can look at online topics. That is completely customizable, and you can customize it for your particular firm. You can actually push your corporate standards out via a particular setting file. So we have information on our website and help files about that. Also, I just wanted to mention that we are supporting BIM 360 via the desktop connector link. So that's another important thing. All these, the Excel files can be stored out on BIM 360 via the desktop connector, and then you can import and export information to the desktop connector and have it stored within your project, which is really nice. So be sure to download the updates. As I said, go to the Ideate software website and make sure that you're installed the latest. And as I mentioned, supporting 2017 through 2020. And so I'm going to stop here, see if there's any questions. So the question is, can BIMLink be used to make views and specify scope boxes for each view? So yeah, the answer is yes. BIMLink can be used to create new views, and you can specify the scope box as well. So that's a great question. So again, what I hope to have done is just kind of whet your appetite, show you a few new workflows that we're supporting with Ideate BIMLink when it comes to the creation of elements. Also, I mentioned in our help that I was going to come back to this. If we go over to our help files here, I just skipped it, sorry about that. If we go over to support Ideate BIMLink help files, this process that I outlined is part of our help file now. So if you come over here and say how to create new elements, right, you can then, there's a link to set up projects with Ideate BIMLink. And it will actually step you through exactly what I went through today, where you have that particular Excel file that we've delivered, and then you can create these, as sort of a template, these new views, sheets, levels, and viewports on the sheet as part of your project setup process. So I just wanted to point out that much of this is documented online as well. All right, so and that actually just what I just showed under support, the how-to, you can go to how to create new elements, and there's a direct link to how to set up projects as well. So you can hyperlink from how to create new elements, or you can go directly to the setup projects. All right. Again, I want to thank everyone for their time and attention today for this short webinar. Please feel free to contact me with any additional technical questions at richard.taylor@ideatesoftware.com. Again, this recording will be available on our website, and I want to thank you very much for your time and attention. And if you have some additional questions, please feel free to type those into the question window, and we'll be around for a few minutes to answer those as best we can. Thank you very much. I'll let you get on with your day.